Hello, and welcome to my channel. Prepare for a night of terror, psychosis, cults, night stalkers, hostages, let's not forget massacres. A night when you're in someone's unconscious mind, hoping and praying you can run away from the creepy person in your backyard, or maybe escape from the deranged person holding you hostage. Being the audience yourself, you start to ask yourself, how did I get into this transcendental science? It'll trap you in your own mind like a prisoner. Lock your doors, say your prayers, stay out of the driveway, be aware of the bumps in the night, and the prickles in back of your neck during a good night's sleep.
I suffer from schizophrenia. I sometimes feel like someone is out to get me. I also hear voices telling me to invoke evil spirits. But at the same time, it feels like the evil spirits tried manipulating me, making it seem like they wanted to help me. I cannot stand being around a lot of people. Sometimes I'm out of my room watching television with other patients, and I see them transform into demons. That's when I feel like I need a hit of something. I was taking steps to recover from my heroin addiction, but when I realized I was diagnosed with schizophrenia, I started to think maybe drugs were the only way I could escape evil thoughts of wanting to harm someone physically, or self-harming myself with a razor. One night, I realized I couldn't sleep. I was tossing and turning until I finally opened my eyes. I realized everything in my room was blurry. I struggled to get out of bed and realized I saw a dark figure through the glass in my door. I kept hearing, "You're next." I saw a knife waving through the glass on my door. I got up fast, but then I closed my eyes, hoping it was a nightmare. I opened my eyes back again, and it was still there. The glass looked like someone was blowing on it. I heard, "Kill, kill." Fear the staff. Fear the patients on this floor. They're all after you. And you know what you did. I felt like someone was turning the knob on the door. I began covering my ears and began screaming. I shouted, "Stop, stop, stop." My anxiety acted up and I started seeing dark shadows everywhere in my room. Sounds of thunder came. I tried to snap out of it, but I had an episode and my shoulders started shaking. I opened my door and saw a creepy woman in the corner staring at me. I heard her say very clearly, "The scariest monsters are the ones that lurk within our souls," a quote by Edgar Allan Poe. I saw that she was coming towards me, slowly. It also looked like her face was transforming demonically, and her body language looked threatening. I heard her breathing heavily. Her head was shaking uncontrollably. I began screaming and covering my ears, praying for it to go away. As soon as I closed my eyes, I began seeing images of someone being stabbed and hearing the bone scrape. It sort of looked like flesh was being eaten. I couldn't tell if it was the creepy lady eating the flesh or another person. And I heard a demonic voice saying, "You're next." I thought about that quote by Edgar Allan Poe and felt like that quote signified that there were demons trying to threaten my actions as a spiritual being. I start to hear the words in my head again. The scariest monsters are the ones that lurk within our souls. I also see an image of a person stabbing someone already. As sick as this sounds, the person being stabbed was already dismembered. In a blink of an eye, I hear powerful thunderstorms from outside and I black out. I keep hearing and seeing the same person stabbing the dismembered body. The person who was stabbing the dismembered body told me that I am a fuck up, that it is nobody's fault that I am still here, and I am my own enemy. I also heard it said, "You'll never make it out of here. I have you hostage here, as above and so below." My head starts pounding, and the more I hear the voices, I started to scream, "Fuck you, fuck off. You're not real, it's only a dream." I also felt triggered by the words because it sounded like my stepmother talking. And while going through psychosis, I started swinging a knife that I found on the floor. I was pretending to stab something that wasn't there. Only it felt like I was stabbing something, because I felt the pressure while jamming the knife in the stabbing motion. Then in 10 seconds, I stopped seeing black. I opened my eyes, and see that I actually stabbed a nurse at her desk. It was the sweetest nurse who treated me so well. I couldn't believe I stabbed her. I didn't mean to. But there I stood in shock with a knife in my hand. I began sobbing. Then I yelled out, "Help." After being hospitalized for 60 days, I was found guilty of the defense. There was no way that the prosecutor felt that my mental illness was an exception. My family tried getting help in order for me to keep me from being incarcerated. In Passaic, New Jersey, I worked at a psychiatric hospital. I worked as a security guard. I had no idea what made me take the job. The first day I started, I saw a few disturbing things on camera. But I was a single mother, and I just moved back in with my parents. The previous security job had me on a tight budget. The most frightening task of the day was patrolling each floor at night. There have been several times where patients would wander around the staircase, a few of them talking to themselves, and others who would just hallucinate while talking to themselves. Rumor has it that 2 years ago, before I started, one of the guards was stabbed by a patient. The patient suffered from bipolarism and antisocial personality disorder. Supposedly the patient found a way out of the clinic, and the security tried too hard to play hero. I felt intimidated by other guards because they would be blunt and tell me that I looked so scared on post. It pissed me off because I knew they weren't criticizing for valuable feedback, but just getting on my nerves. My duties were escorting guests and patients, but also observing any patients acting strange. I had to contact the appropriate response agencies along with a list of crisis teams. Me and the other guards were told to never make the patients feel uncomfortable. But I gotta tell you this, I was very uncomfortable, or should I say terrified. I came across patients that were obsessed with serial killers, or were just speaking gibberish. The one patient that freaked me out was a patient named Justin. Justin was super obsessed with serial killers like David Berkowitz, Jeffrey Dahmer, and Richard Ramirez. Justin was in for drowning a 9-year-old girl in a pool. He would stare at me maliciously. I pretended to look infuriated when he would stare at me, but deep down inside I was shitting bricks. It was very unfortunate that I had to pass by his room often, but it was only because there was a young female who was suicidal. Her room was right across from his, and she would cause hectic scenes throughout the day. I always felt Justin's creepy vibe, and from the side of my eye, I knew he was staring at me. So one night, I was doing a 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. shift, and for some reason, the other guards were starting to warm up to me. They even tried offering me some Hennessy, but I said no. I thought, how stupid could they be, sneaking in a bottle on a job? But overall, something didn't feel right during that shift. I continued doing my patrols. This time, I didn't dare to patrol the section where that sick loony bin Justin was in. I felt safe for the first time in 3 months, snacking while glancing at the cameras every few seconds, and bullshitting on my phone. After walking down staircase A, I heard a loud scream. It sounded like a female. It was as if someone was either having an episode, but could just be someone desperately screaming for help. I got on my walkie-talkie while marching up the stairs calling for backup. Let's face it, I'm only 5'2" and weigh 120 pounds. And even though my duties were not to put my hands on these patients, I feared being provoked because even though I feared certain patients, I knew it would push a button. I took my flashlight out and carefully got to the top of the stairs. It was so odd that 2 doors to the rooms were open. My heart was pounding. I slowly walked up to one of the rooms, trying not to be loud. I couldn't believe what I saw. Blood on the door, and a few spots of it on the floor. It might sound shameful, but I was so terrified I did not know what to do in this situation. On the second attempt, I shouted out for help again. Then I heard the other guards on my walkie-talkie saying copy and that they were on their way, and for me to remain calm. But me remaining calm was not happening. I started hearing a sound like a baby's mobile. The sound got closer and closer. I did a whole 180 and saw a person on the corner sticking their head out slowly. My blood ran cold, and I broke out in a cold sweat with increased muscle tension. It was the same loony bin Justin. He was holding a baby's mobile. It looked like he was walking very slowly while swinging the baby's mobile side to side. His eyes looked drowsy, and like always, his mouth was twisted to the side. He did have facial palsy. It was hard for me to think. I wanted to run, but at the same time try to reason with him and get a crisis team so that he can peacefully get back into his room. But then he took out a kitchen knife and started waving it, smiling at me maliciously. I stepped away very slowly, and he kept walking forward slowly. In about 4 seconds, I made a run for it, heading back downstairs. Halfway down, I saw the other patient who I mentioned earlier. The young female who was suicidal. I saw her walking in slow motion as if she were drowsy. Then I looked at her stomach and saw that she was gushing out blood and also spitting it out. She looks up at me struggling, trying to tell me something. All I heard was, run. Her whole body fell on top of me. I struggled trying to get her off of me so that I could call the cops. As I struggled, I heard thumping footsteps. It was Justin at the top of the staircase. I heard another guard screaming through the walkie-talkie, informing someone to go through the doors in order to get to my location. I heard someone scream out my last name, Matthews. Then I shouted, "Help, help. Someone's been stabbed." The other guard ran and kicked open the door and quickly ran towards me, trying to get the injured girl off of me. I can tell the other guard saw Justin and looked spooked. But while staring up at the staircase, he was able to get the girl who was stabbed off of me. I got up fast, and the guard told me to just stand behind him. He tells Justin, "Calm down. Don't do anything you're going to regret." Justin begins giggling disturbingly. "Put it down. We can get you back into your room," said the guard. "Bullshit. All you want to do is drug me up and send me away," shouted Justin. No. We just want to help you," replied the guard. I assumed that as usual this patient would be pinned to the ground by other staff members and nurses, administer medicine against this patient's will. But in the end, no one else was there to help. I wanted to make a run for it, but I wouldn't be doing my job. So there I stood shaking, with tears running down my eyes, hoping that we both had a way out. This time the guard slowly walks towards the deranged patient and calmly tells him again, "Don't do anything we're both going to regret. Justin, please drop the knife. We'll get you back to the room safely." While waiting for the backup team, which were 9 feet away from the scene, there was no luck. Justin walks towards the other guard, and just like that scene from Halloween 5, where Michael Myers turns his head to the left and slowly with the knife in his hand attacks Dr. Loomis, is exactly what Justin did. Justin pushed the guard into a window and stabbed the guard in his abdomen area, throwing him down the stairs. I screamed and ran to the staff. The clinic would choose one of their patients to join or lead. This was traumatizing. I screamed and ran to where the staff were standing. While screaming, I told the staff to hurry, but as I looked down, I saw other guards on the floor stabbed to death. There were also 3 nurses covered in blood who just stood there staring at me. It did not seem like they were stabbed at all. The one in the middle held a cross upside down. One of them said, "It's all for you, Justin." She took out a gun and began firing. I ran out of that place screaming like a crazy person, not knowing how I was going to get back home, because I even left my car parked in the back of the clinic. I found the nearest store and asked for help. Everyone looked at me as if I were crazy and didn't listen to me. So I ran while screaming for help again. There was a crazy thunderstorm, so I looked even more crazier in the rain. Then to find out a week later on the news that this psychiatric place was shutting down because it turned out it was part of a cult. The clinic would choose one of their patients to join or lead. This was a traumatizing experience, which led me to change my job, but also left me isolated without any social life.